Mike Salk, 7:10 a.m. in Seattle, is going to have to now deal with this. Is that right, Mike?
Free Jimmy.
Right.
Please. Free Jimmy. I don't want to watch more Drew Lock and Geno Smith. My gosh. Yes, please. Drive him here if you can. We'll take him.
You'd prefer Jimmy over those two? I mean, Drew Lock, young QB with an upside, and Geno Smith, a guy who can make plays with his legs?
Yeah. Geno Smith can't make plays with his legs. That's just not true at all. That's not even close to true. Geno's not fast. He's not even a little fast. Quite frankly, Drew Lock is faster than Geno Smith. He'll make more plays with his legs than Geno will. That's not even close. Yeah, no, this is... Please, Jimmy. And then, by the way, it's not just my wife practically demanded that the Seahawks. Well, I don't know why. I mean, there could be any reason, but hey.
Mike, fans here in the Bay Area have been dealing with that for years, and I know there's a ton of NFL diehard female fans, but if you do want to paint with a stereotypical brush, yes, there will be some men in Seattle whose significant others don't necessarily love football, but they're going to start. Just get ready for that. That's a thing.
Let's be clear. There are going to be people of all genders and sexualities who are interested in Jimmy Garoppolo. He is that good looking.
All right, so true football here, and I get it. Life is a matter of perspective. So here are 49er fans, many of whom, even with the success of the last few years, have been ready to drive this guy out of town. You think Seattle is dying to have him, yeah?
I don't know whether they are or not. I would be. It's really hard to tell exactly what's up Pete's sleeve right now. If they traded Russell Wilson, I think it was probably the right thing to do. It seemed like that relationship had run its course, and they were ready from all sides to move on. That's sort of a conversation for a much longer day. But what do you do next? Are they truly tanking and trying to play till next year? That's not really Pete's personality. And they didn't go after Baker Mayfield, which I kind of wanted them to do. Quite frankly, I was hoping they'd try to go after Tyler Huntley, but the Ravens can't do anything there as long as they've got the contract issue with Lamar Jackson. So who's left? Well, it's kind of Jimmy Garoppolo at that point. I assumed once Deshaun Watson got the suspension that the Niners were just going to deal him to Cleveland, and that would be the end of the story. But that doesn't seem like it's happening. So, yeah, you just wait until they finally have no choice but to cut Jimmy, and he would be an upgrade over either of the two guys that are here right now.
What's the sense and the sentiment, though, in Seattle in terms of this year with Jimmy as opposed to this year without Jimmy and maybe hoping for a high draft pick and, an NFL QB to be named later in the draft?
Yeah, I think that you would probably find more fans who like the latter. I'm not necessarily on that list, but I think more people that I talk to and, that we've talked to on the show are more interested in sort of tanking, getting to the bottom, et cetera. And I understand that, but if you're Pete Carroll and your entire philosophy is built around, compete every day, win forever, et cetera, and the locker room knows that you had the opportunity to go improve at the most important position on the field and you don't do it, you can't fool the locker room. And I do wonder if Pete's biggest strength is his culture building, how well you can build a culture around winning and competition when you're not doing everything in your power to bring in the best available option, the most important position.
Mike Salk in Seattle with us here, Willard and Dibbs, 95.7 The Game. The comment made yesterday by Matt Mayoko covering the Niners forever, saying basically, yes, the thought is that the Niners believe Garoppolo will end up in Seattle. And Mike, you tell us, you sort of said it's hard to read what's up Pete Carroll's sleeve. This comment yesterday made it potentially make sense to me because it never did make sense that Seattle would just be like, yeah, Drew Lock, Geno Smith, let's do this thing. Do you think they've known for a while?
If you've watched their competition, it's the most strange quarterback competition of all time. Drew Lock arrived, and Pete started crowing that they had basically found the next Joe Montana. And then they got to OTAs and mini camp and even training camp, and he didn't take any reps with the ones. He was going to get one game with the ones, and then he got COVID, so he didn't get to even play. It's basically not even been a competition. It's been the Geno Smith show. So, yeah, none of it has really made sense, which is why I've always believed that there was an option C waiting in the wings, and Jimmy seems to be the most likely option.
DK Metcalf gets an extension, even though the offense appears to be regressing. How much is he going to want to play with a quarterback in Jimmy G, a guy who can't really throw the ball outside the numbers?
It's a good question, and for all of the sort of Geno Smith knocks, that's one thing he did pretty well last year when he filled in for Russ, is he actually got the ball to DK more than Russell Wilson did. So, that may be one of the reasons they're going to give him the first crack at this thing. It's a fair question. I talked to, do you remember the name Robert Turbin?
Sure.
He played
the running back
for the Seahawks. Nice guy, and he's doing some media work. He lives in Sacramento. And we had him on, and I said, hey, what does Pete value in a quarterback? What are the most important things for Pete in a quarterback? And he said two things: the ability to convert on third down and to not turn the ball over.
Uh-huh.
And so I just kind of went through the numbers for Geno and Drew and Jimmy at those two things. And Jimmy is vastly superior to the other two guys. You're right. He doesn't throw the ball deep very well, but this is supposed to be more of a Rams-style Sean McVay offense now with Shane Waldron here. Maybe that's not as important to them at the moment.
Okay, so Mike, let's play this out. Let's say Jimmy does end up on the Seahawks. Let's say it takes, a few weeks to get up and running, and by the month of October, Garoppolo is the starting quarterback. We don't know. We sort of assume, that Seattle roster, because of the loss of Russell Wilson, they're not a threat. Put Jimmy on that team and let him convert on third down and be a leader and all those things. And the Seahawks this year then become what?
It's a good question. Basically, the question is, how many wins is Jimmy Garoppolo worth over their current quarterback group, right? And I think we're kind of looking at this current group saying they're a 4 or 5 win team. Is Jimmy worth 3 wins? That seems right to me. Maybe he's a mid-rated quarterback somewhere in the 14 to 18 range in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere in that range. Whereas you're talking about guys right now that are outside the top 30, 32. I think they could win 7 or 8 games with him as the quarterback if he stayed healthy.
With the Pete Carroll system, assuming that Jimmy Garoppolo is released August 30th, like we all think he will be, and he signs with Seattle that next day, could he potentially be ready for a Week 2 matchup against his former team?
Well, interesting question, and I think really for them, look, the Seahawks Super Bowl is being played Week 1 against Russell Wilson at home on Monday night. That's their Super Bowl, and there's been some thought around town that Geno will start that game because he gives them the best chance to win that game, but that we'll see Drew Lock sometime after that, and that this is really for them just about how do you beat Russell Wilson in Denver. I think that's I don't know how long it takes Jimmy Garoppolo after that if he were to be here to get ready. But, by all accounts, a reasonably smart guy, good leader, been around the league, been in a few different systems. I don't know. Can it take these guys more than a couple of weeks?
Yeah, look, Week 2, Seattle and San Francisco. Why don't you guys just turn the season over to quarterbacks playing their former team? That could be a cool thing.
It'd be fun.
Sounds good to me, man.
Right, yeah.
As long as I get to watch Jimmy play more than those other guys, it's fine with me. I don't care.
Right? Baker's going to go against the Browns. Deshaun is going to go against the Texans.
Yep.
This is kind of and this is the NFL's thing this year.
It's sort of the NFL thing every year, right?
That is true.
The league obsessed with creating the most intriguing matchup they can, even if they, don't suspend complete scumbags in order to make sure they get their matchup.
Yeah, 11 games, he'll be back. It's what we do in the NFL. Just don't deflate a football, then we got to come down hard on you. Just know this, Mike, when you get Jimmy G as quarterback and he starts to throw the ball, you'll have to change your name from the Seahawks to the Ducks.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Look, Jimmy's not perfect. I get it. Look, it's not the funny thing here is pretending like I'm some big Jimmy Garoppolo fan. Yeah, he's fine. He's not the worst quarterback in the league.
Right.
I would say, for all of the Ducks, I watched a little Trey Lance. But he doesn't throw ducks. He throws lasers nowhere near a target.
Lasers.
Thank you, Austin Powers.
But where is he throwing them?
Places. Places, yeah. He goes places.
Don't worry about it.
Legitimate question. If the Niners were to play Jimmy Garoppolo for 17 games versus Trey Lance, which team wins more games?
Boy,
that's a great question.
We don't know. We don't know, but I think the long play is the 49ers are a more diverse and dangerous team with Trey. This year?
Such a politician answer.
No, but you're probably right. If you're talking about this year alone, it's probably Jimmy.
It's Jimmy. I don't even think it's close. I mean, based on the limited amount I've seen Trey Lance, I would say it's Jimmy, and it's not close.
You're just trying to convince yourself that this is a move that's going to help you go from 4 wins to 7. I get that,
Well,
Mike.
how great will that be? When the Seahawks win 7 games, I'll call you back and crow.
7-10.
Week two. Here we go. Jimmy versus the Niners. Let's get this thing done because, for God's sakes, Mike, we've been talking about it for way too long here.
Way too long.
Seriously.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Mike.
So I really
Mike.
appreciated the A's beating up on the Mariners this weekend, too. That was really nice. Thank you.
Flukish. More flukish than 107 win Giants
Don't
here.
talk about